So an interesting thing that I found, coming from a technical background, is that selling is not an art. It's a science. And it's a skill that you can learn. And thus, being a skill, you can master it. Now, you've probably heard that Joe is a born salesman, or Rachel, she could sell ice to Eskimos, right? And yes, there are people that are naturally talented at all sorts of things, right? There are those that just understand how to work with wood, or to arrange things inside of a home that it's visually appealing, right? But that doesn't mean that someone else can't learn those same principles and those skills, right? Selling is a science. It's a process. It's almost mechanical, right? There is a beginning and there's an end, and there are steps in between. Now, the important thing to understand about selling is it's not about selling. It's about helping the customer buy. Now, along the way, there are lots of skills and things you're going to do, and some of them might be soft skills, and they may be outside of your comfort zone. Learn them, right? Everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. There are going to be boring logistical things. Do them, because process is easy. Might be tedious, but it's not hard. Now, I say that selling is not about selling, it's about buying, because in the end, it's the customer's decision. Your job is to influence them. But for them to buy, there are things that they need to do. So, as Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. And as one of my mentors said, start with the end in mind and work backwards. If you know what the end result is, and you can map all those steps of how to get there, man, your path is easy. So to give you an example of what this looks like, well, at some point, you're going to need to deal with vendor management or procurement. All right, what do they need? What are their timelines? What sort of paperwork do they need? What sign-offs do they need? Do you need to deal with legal? Is there a board that you need to speak to and get sign-off? Who are the stakeholders? Now, you hear this all the time, like who are the key decision makers? Right? And they're important. We also need to understand the politics. But those other things, like right at the pointy end, that's where so many deals fall down and you get beaten by your worst competitor, do nothing, or your second worst competitor, your industry competitors, because they did their homework, right? This is not hard, right? It's just work. And if you understand how the customer buys, you are so far ahead. Because just like at school, most people don't work. They don't put in the hard yards. It's like if you're running and you're doing some form of cross-country race and there's a hill, most people take it easy on the way up the hill and then they race down. Well, my running coach when I was at school said, Andrew, that's stupid. You want to work on the way up when everyone else is taking it easy, and you let gravity do the work and you rest while everyone is, thrashing, insanely for no benefit. And you know what? The number of people that I passed when I applied that tactic was insane. The number of races where I significantly increased my result and was in the top 10 because I used that piece of information and I applied it and I did the work. I made hills my friend, right? There's a lesson there. Do what others won't so you can have what others can't. You've probably heard that, right? Sales is no different. Do your homework. It's not hard. Finding out what those things are, well, maybe that's some experience and you need some coaching and some guidance. That's fine. But doing it, it's not difficult. So start with the end in mind. If you need to close this, in the next quarter, you can't just meander along the path and hope that it happens, right? Hope is not a strategy. You need to know from the customer's perspective, what do you need to get done? Just like if you need to craft a special bid or go through some bid process internally to get the structure right, what does your company require of you, right? What forms need to be signed? What letterhead? Like, do you need a cover sheet on your TPS report, right? Simple things, like just be prepared. And so the other thing around selling, and I'll talk about this later, but selling is not a single event. It is not a yes. You don't rock up, show up, and win, right? It's not like, yes, Andrew, we've got a deal. Put them here, partner, right? There are lots of yeses along the way. And so I'll talk about this later. But know what yeses you need. And so this is what I learned. Like, I came from a technical background. This was foreign to me. Like, my parents owned companies, successful ones, marketing and software and sales, and I was naturally attracted to the technology. I've been a programmer, I've been a systems engineer, I've been a network admin, I've been a solutions architect, right? I've always excelled at those things because I've learned what they required. I've been in pre-sales. I've worked for large government organisations. I've worked in large enterprise. I have worked in the channel for partners, selling to others, services or software. I've worked in vendors, doing the same thing. Like, I understand the things that customers need. And it's, as an example, right, that, in my last organisation, I was selling an automation suite. And one of the reasons that I was so successful at doing this without discounts, where pretty much everyone else was saying, oh, it's too hard and why would the customer pay, they can get it for free, because there was zero difference. We actually offered less in the paid product than the free version that they could get, was that I understood the pain and the process that customers went through because I had lived it. I'd done my research. I was able to take the thing that we offered and thread a story about how that was relevant to them. And so I just went through health and medical, I went through government, I went through manufacturing, I went through retail, right? The only retail job I've ever had was, 2 nights, a week, doing coffees in a cafe, right? I don't know anything about retail except for what I went and learned, and I was able to apply that. So everything is learnable. Yes, there will be some people that are naturally better, but you know what? Hard work beats lazy raw talent every single time. So do the work, follow the process, and you're probably going to be successful. Thanks.